Hi guys, this is like my third video I'm filming in a row, but I just really wanted to talk about this. So we're talking about pick me girls. By the way guys, before we get into the video, I'm hosting a 30-day challenge.
It starts January 1st to January 30th and it's going to completely rewire your mind, change your life through somatic work, energy work, and psychology. It's only $1 per day and there's a money back guarantee. If you feel like at the end of the 30 days you didn't gain anything, I will refund you.
I think people have misunderstood pick me girls, and I'm going to go into the psychology of it. So what is a pick me girl? It is someone who is doing anything they can to get male validation, even at the expense of putting another woman down or shaming themselves. Any action or behavior that makes them get picked by a man. You probably were one in your lifetime, and the fact you hate them so much is because it reminds you of how you used to be. And guess what? It all goes back to the patriarchy. Number one, pick me behavior is a trauma response to feeling chronically unchosen. Whether that means in your relationships you are unchosen or your childhood. It usually comes down to your childhood. And it might not just be the father who abandoned you or failed you or didn't show up. It can be your mother too, or just anyone who was significant in your childhood. Maybe your mother literally prioritized your father over you, so you spend your life performing, hoping that someone would choose you so you would feel like you're worthy. That's actually the root of it. Pick-me's are performers, because they don't believe that them being themselves is enough to get chosen and loved. And guess what? Most women are performers, because that is how the patriarchy has programmed us. We have been programmed to believe that us existing is not enough. We always have to provide something, whether that is our beauty, whether that's our body. And that's why a lot of women, we feel the need to be perfect, because it is not enough for us to just exist. The patriarchy has programmed women to compete for male validation as a resource, as if it is valuable and scarce when it's not. Babe, you could be the ugliest duckling and you can get male validation. It's worthless. For centuries, women's survival, social status, and economic security has depended on entirely being chosen by a man. So pick-me behavior is not necessarily a character flaw. It's an inherited adaptation to a system that made women compete for scraps of power. And ultimately, it's been pitting women against one another. Number three, I'm not like the other girls, is actually internalized misogyny speaking. Well, I'm actually exactly like the other girls because I love women. Because society has taught us that femininity, being a woman, you throw like a girl, all of these insults, is weak, shallow, and inferior. So distancing yourself from the typical woman feels like self-preservation. It's like saying, please don't devalue me the way you devalue them. I talked about this in point one, but pick-me girls are recreating childhood wounds, which are related to abandonment and unconditional love. It all comes down to performance. If I perform well enough, you should choose me and you should love me. And if they do perform and they don't get chosen, it's reinforcing that they are completely unlovable. So they feel the need to perform then even more. And the issue with this is that a lot of people don't realize they're doing it. And that's why I have empathy for them. It's not their fault that they weren't chosen as a child. It's not their fault that the patriarchy made them feel like they need to compete for this worthless validation. So if you don't realize that you're doing this, and you don't devalue validation from other people, and instead you try to source it from yourself, you will forever be in this cycle where you're performing and trying to get chosen by people who don't give a fuck about you. Because if someone loves you and someone wants to be with you, they will choose you without performing. And guess what, ladies? You don't want to perform to get into a relationship, because your performance is going to have to last forever. You're going to be on that stage forever. One of my good friends, in her first marriage, that guy made her feel like she always had to provide value. In fact, his quote was, and he would say it to me too as his friend, provide value or die. He didn't mean literally die, he just meant in life, you need to always provide value. And being his friend, I saw how he would be like this with every woman. If she wasn't providing a good time, she better be providing her presence and her beauty. Now, when they divorced, she's with an amazing man now. And she said, for the first time, I don't have to do anything. She games all day, she parties, and they have such a healthy relationship, and he's like, I just love you, you just need to exist, you don't have to do anything to be lovable. There are healthy men out there in the world, and you need to look at their parents. You need to look at their parents, because if the two parents did not have a healthy relationship, it is very likely that they also perceive their relationships in an unhealthy way. I'm hosting a 30-day challenge. So if you're someone who is feeling stuck, you're lost, you feel a deep need to transform, this is the challenge for you. It is 30 days, one video every single day, and I think it's going to change so many lives, so go here to sign up. Next, the cool girl persona is adaptive camouflage. Cool girls pretend they don't have needs. They pretend they're like effortlessly chill, not emotional, and it's a psychological defense. You're actually making yourself smaller and less demanding in hopes that you will be chosen. But in the process, you are disrespecting yourself. You should not need to minimize your needs for somebody to choose you. You should not be hating pick-me girls. You should be angry at whoever set this fucking system up, actually. The least you can do is try to unbrainwash other women. Now, true healing actually comes from choosing yourself, knowing that this wound where you feel unlovable and chosen, it will never get filled even if you were chosen by somebody. Because what happens if they decide to let you go one day? You're going to attach to them so hard because they are your source of validation. They are your source of you believing that you are worthy enough. And if they discard you, it is evidence that you are not worthy. You need to choose yourself to believe that you are worthy. And on this 30-day process, I will take you through this whole journey. But girls, please, stop relying on external validation. You might be a certified anti-pick-me girl, like I'm not a pick-me, and you might still exhibit some of these behaviors. Maybe at a subconscious level, you do crave validation from men. Maybe you actually go in the opposite direction and you have an extreme hate for them. I went through that. I had an extreme hate for them at one point, because, especially in my friendships, because I realized women were so nurturing, so loving, right? So I would show up 100% for them. Would they ever be able to reciprocate? No. So then I would feel resentment that I was not getting what I needed back from them. And it was silly to assume that a man would be able to provide the same emotional support that a woman would. So now, while I do have male friends, I have very strong boundaries, and I don't really rely on them to fulfill emotional needs. And I do not hold them, to be honest, as high regard as my female friends, because I've seen how they still will not be loyal. And I saw a TikTok the other day that said, even though I try to be like a kind, sweet man, I still got that dog in me, and that scares me. And I was thinking about how, as a woman, it's actually the complete opposite, where I feel, and I know a lot of my friends have felt, the need to almost create a dog in me that we're actually trying to be like men because of how they have treated us. So our default state is to be kind, loving, nurturing, to show up. But you got to create a dog in you to be like, well, actually, I shouldn't be doing this for you. And because of that, it's created resentment and then hatred towards them. And that's something I had to work through. I do not hate men, that's the truth. But I'm a realist and I have boundaries now. And I know that I cannot source my sense of self-worth to men, or anything external for that matter. Anything that you think your identity is, whether it's your success, your money, your beauty, your looks, you need to learn to disidentify from that, because it is not who you are. You are worthy and lovable just as you are. And if you allow yourself to show up as your authentic self without needing anything, without performing, you will be able to find people who just love you for you. Before I go, I also want to add that a lot of guys know when you crave their validation, by the way, and they will purposely dangle it in front of you to get what they want. Men are also delusional in the sense that they believe that everything a woman does is for them. And for some girls, it is. You know, we've talked about pick-me's. But even for the women who don't, they still believe it because they're delusional. One thing the patriarchy does is it makes us believe that we're not perfect enough, that we can never be good enough. So we dim ourselves, we dim our confidence. What is that study that said that women tend to not apply for jobs as much as men because they think they're unqualified for it, while men do the polar opposite because they have genuine delusional confidence? Men know when you crave their validation and their attention, and if they are an evil motherfucker and manipulative, they will 100% exploit you for that if they are not a good person. And I know because I've seen it with the guys I know, the way they exploit these women. And it's sad because sometimes they'll bring like a girl around and I find myself not respecting the woman, and I'm almost like looking down upon her because I'm thinking, how the fuck are you with this crazy man? But this girl, this poor girl, doesn't know that he's like that because this guy is cosplaying being a great man. So why are we blaming the woman? It's the same thing with Liz. I feel so bad for her and how her whole audience has ripped her apart. Imagine coming from a childhood where you were not chosen by your parents. In fact, your father has tried to kill you. Imagine how deep that wound is. Perhaps your whole life you swore off romantic connection. You had an inability to form a romantic connection, and suddenly this guy comes along and he's everything you've been praying for, and he fools you into believing that he is a good guy. And because you're so wounded, you're like, well, maybe this is my attachment style acting up and trying to protect myself, and you start to question, is it me that's the problem, or is there something actually here? So people are blaming this girl for no reason. She left, like she stood on business and she actually left that relationship. People still are finding a way to drag her, and unfortunately it's a lot of girls doing this. Like, please. Thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to join the challenge, and I will see you next time.